Donald Trump, well, he blames Harris and Biden for the assassination attempts. Let's put it at full mass. I will give you the background and some update. So Trump blames Harris and Biden for the second assassination attempt, saying their rhetoric is causing me to be shot at. After the apparent second assassination attempt, Trump sent out a fundraising email suggesting donations of between, let's say, $24 and $3,300, where he stated that he would never surrender. He later added that he blamed Biden and Harris. Alert, I am Donald J. Trump. Fear not. I am safe and well. No one was hurt, thank God. But there are people in this world who will do whatever it takes to stop us. I will not stop fighting for you. I will never surrender. Quote, he believed the rhetoric of Biden and Harris, and he acted on it. Trump said of Ryan Wesley Routh, a 58-year-old suspect, quote, their rhetoric is causing me to be shot at when I am the one who is going to save the country, and they are the ones that are destroying the country. Media outlets, including the AP, Associated Press, reports that the alleged gunman posted on social media that he was a former Trump voter and had shared support for a variety of politicians, including Bernie Sanders, Nikki Haley, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris. Then Trump's team sent out another email. On Monday afternoon, the Trump team sent another email out related to the apparent assassination attempt with the subject line, quote, another attempt on Trump's life. It hammered home a similar message. Quote, what we are seeing from Kamala Harris and her enablers in the media is disgusting. The email says in italics, it's red font. This time, J.D. Vance signed the message. Quote, because of the communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying, Trump wrote in a lengthy paragraph. He said that Harris exemplified the rhetoric lies during their debate. Now, remember, it was Trump who took home the championship belt. Championship belt for what? For the most lies during a presidential debate. It's a lot of them.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Trump also has similar words after the first assassination attempt. What did he say? The first time he said, quote, when this happened, whose fault is it? He said in an interview with Dr. Phil, of all people, after the incident, quote, I think to a certain extent, it's Biden's fault and Harris's fault, end quote. MSNBC's Joy Reid claimed that MAGA is responsible for the actual violence. Here it is.
Right. And I mean, the irony of it is that the violence, the actual violence we're seeing comes much more disproportionately from MAGA themselves, whether it's January 6th, whether it's them threatening election workers, whether it's the bomb threats coming into schools in Springfield. The violence is coming from them, from their own supporters, yet they try to portray Haitian immigrants as the people to fear. I want to point you to a local sheriff who in Ohio has put out a threatening message saying that this sheriff said he wants people to write down the addresses of Kamala Harris supporters who display yard signs for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, so that later on, if anything goes wrong, they can go back to those people, essentially issuing what really amounts to a threat. That's now happening in Springfield, too, and that's not from just some rando, that's from a sheriff.
A sheriff is a state constitutional officer. It is an authority that's required for the operation of government. The sheriff of that state is saying, if somebody supports a politician that I disagree with, write their names down, submit them to this governmental agency so that we can deal with them as we choose to. How is that a protection of your constitutional rights? How is that a protection of your freedom of speech? How is that considered peaceful, non-aggressive, potentially violent, obviously? But she's right. The people who have actually called for violence are those on the right. It's those on the left who continue to say that rhetoric needs to stop. It has no place in our political conversation. When violence is happening and animated from the right, you don't see Lindsey Graham telling them to cool it. You don't hear Donald Trump telling them to stop it. You don't hear Matt Gaetz telling them to cease. They continue to provide flame to the fire. All right, hell of a thing. This is, once again, a political pivot for Donald Trump. Obviously, he's desperate. He wants money and he wants sympathy. What say you?
Yeah, this feels lazy to me.
Yeah.
It's so obvious what they're trying to do, but he's clearly he's been bothered by the entire Harris campaign since they started officially calling him weird. He said, oh, look at them using personal attacks against me. And guess I have to use personal attacks against them, as if he hasn't already run two and is now running a third presidential campaign almost entirely using personal attacks, either against anyone he perceives to be his enemies, whether that's his opposing candidate or any Democrats or Republicans, or against entire groups of people that he just does not like. And this is all, it's a classic narcissistic tactic. He's gaslighting, he's misdirecting, and he's playing the victim after poking and prodding and bullying someone to the point that they finally retaliated against him. Anyone with half a brain knows that Trump is the bully here. These alleged assassins were not, as far as we know, goaded on by Harris or Walz. However, it is an interesting line of attack for Trump and Vance for them to take, because we do have actual evidence of people claiming to have shown up to the January 6th riot because Trump told them to. Right. We have actual testimony from people confirming that Trump's rhetoric is what radicalized them and influenced them to show up at the Capitol that day. And all the time while we were investigating whether or not Trump was behind the January 6th riot, whether or not he was the one who radicalized all of these people, Trump and his team have tried to argue that his words could not be proven to have directly influenced the actions of others. I'm sure his supporters won't see the irony in any of all of this, but we see it, and we see you, Donald.
That's right. We see you, Donald.